Sup you beautiful people. Hope you've had a fantastic day. Welcome back to another new episode of What If Naruto Was Justice League's Fire Shadow. If you guys enjoy this what if, comment down below and let me know. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel after watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So now let's start this video. Naruto was currently working on trying to get used to the fact that he now had a housemate in his pad. It was not a bad thing at all since Cory actually did not mind being here with him. It was a bad thing in the sense that he had to keep her existence at a minimum when it involved the League right now, namely the ones who were still out there dealing with the mess that John got dragged into. The mess he willingly allowed himself to be dragged into, to be sure. It had been quite a discussion between him and Batman, since eventually the two of them convinced Starfire that she was not ugly at all. And the only reason that they were asking her, or rather Batman was asking her to wear clothes, was that on Earth, one did not go around buck naked when people they did not know were around. Cory thought about that and agreed that she would do it for the time being, leaving the two to get dressed in some clothes. Though she did wonder why humans were so prudish at times. Once she was out of sight and hearing range, Naruto began to fill Batman in on what exactly happened and how he met Starfire. He did not spare any details, and even if he could not see it, he could tell that Batman was taking in all the details very carefully, no doubt trying to see if there were any holes on Coriander's story. That was to be expected, and truthfully he had been doing the same thing, though through Kurama's chakra which was still present, he was assured that all she said was pretty accurate. There was also the fact that despite her beauty, both of them had seen scars on her. They did not detract her looks and had faded very well, but made it clear that her suffering for 6 years was hardly a work of fiction. After a while Batman was silent, not totally convinced in Naruto's mind to be sure, but he seemed to be accepting it so far. Batman looked outside into the sky and replied, "You sure that you got all the facts right?" "Positive, and so far I haven't sensed any chakra that might indicate that we have company from up there yet. Plus if her sister is after her and came here I would know it." "How?" "Chakra from relatives resonates at a frequency that is identical, so if Starfire's sister appears, I would be able to sense it now that I have a feel for Starfire's chakra." "Can she use it?" Naruto thought it over and recalled all of his lessons and replied, "I'm not really sure about that since Starfire is not human, so I have no idea what type of chakra circulatory system analog her people have in them. I doubt that they even have the knowledge to use chakra, since they obviously have other powers to call on. Not to mention the fact that while I have sensed chakra in Superman, I am not sure just what will happen if he tried to tap into it. The ability of aliens to use chakra for real is pretty hard for me to see. When I senses Superman's chakra, he had a huge amount of it, but his chances of using it are pretty hard to determine, since his chakra circulatory system, as far as I have sensed, is not very well developed, or it's utterly different from mine, so it might react differently. Same with Starfire, she has a lot of it, but right now it seems that she can't use it. I see. There's also the matter on what she is going to do here. Like it or not, she will have to adjust to this world, so I doubt that staying here is going to help her in the long run. Not to mention that she might compromise your location considering her rather visual way of moving around." Naruto frowned at that and replied, "After seeing her level in abandoned sector of the city, I agree with you, but right now I'm the only person, apart from you, that she knows of, so I think she'd rather be somewhere, and with someone she knows she can trust. 6 years of that hell can make you very wary to trust anyone. Hell, considering what I learned from her, it's a miracle she's not plain insane right now, and with her powers if she was driven nuts, bad combination." Bruce sensed the tone there and asked a question. "This happens to be from personal experience, Hokage." Naruto sighed while retaining the frown and nodded. "Yeah, let's leave it at that. Besides, if she does not learn how to control her powers well here, you can bet the direct abandoned city block is going to be the least of our worries. Besides, I would not put it past people to have less than stellar intentions towards her, had she been left to her own devices in the city. She's pretty much an innocent in anything related to Earth customs, and who knows where that might lead to. Though after having seen Em be the target of her powers and strength, I can honestly say that to me the only ones to try that are either metahumans or insane idiots with a death wish." Batman could not help but agree to some extent with that idea. Plus, considering the fact that she is technically not evil and is more of a refugee, we can't just send her off on her own and get into worse trouble, now can we? I'm thankful she landed in an abandoned part of town, and not a populated one after all, to be honest, since who knew what would be the outcome of that happening. Batman thought about that and nodded slowly. He was still reluctant with the whole idea, but until a more acceptable solution was reached, Coriander would have to stay with Naruto. He was however going to make sure that when the time came, there would be solution in place to prevent something that all of them were going to regret. "Alright, but try not to do anything that would compromise you and her. And please, despite the age difference, keep your pants on around her." Naruto gave Batman a shake of his head and replied, "I'll try, but considering how she looks and acts, it's not going to be easy." "I can see that." Any other discussion was put to an end by two things. First was that Starfire had come back in a pair of shorts and a shirt, and was actually decent by human standards. And the other thing was that Batman's communicator coming online to tell him that he was needed back at Gotham. Thus he left, and soon this left Naruto alone with Coriander, who actually flew into the air next to the Batplane, and waved goodbye to Batman, who merely gave a nod and left. The Tamaranian soon moved back down to the ground and soon spoke to Naruto. "Friend Naruto, does your friend, the one you call Batman, not approve of me?" Naruto raised an eyebrow at that and replied, "What gave you that idea?" "I have sensed he does not approve of me, though I have no idea why. Does he worry about my presence here?" "Now Batman's just cautious. He knows nothing of you yet, so he has his reasons to be wary, but I have no doubt you can make him change his mind." The woman gave a hopeful look that was both cute and very beautiful, making Naruto slap his head mentally. There were very few women he knew of who could somehow combine cute and beautiful all at once in the same sentence. Apparently Starfire had just landed in that same category. At any rate, it was high time that he and Starfire got out into the city to do some patrol work, since it would be a bit before he went back to work earning his next paycheck. For now though, it was off to dealing with the bands of criminals that infested the place. Only this time he was not going to go alone, so he went off to get into his clothing and armor. Starfire then spoke to him as she followed the blonde shinobi. "Where are you off to, friend Naruto?" "Off to make sure that the criminals in LA don't do any more harm to the people living here. You can come and join me if you want, Starfire." Kori smiled and replied, "Of course I will help you out." Naruto was now out on patrol, but this time he was not alone at all, as Starfire was accompanying him in the same way she had come to join him. The sight of both him and the alien woman moving about in the city had garnered a lot of attention, and it was not something he could discount. Only thing he knew he had to watch out for was for men to start getting weird ideas, not that he did not think the same thing every now and then, even more so when one considering just how revealing Kori's choice of clothing were. He could understand that on her world such things were normal, but on this world, she revealed way too much to be ignored, though he was thankful that her choice of clothing did cover the essentials. Thanks to Kami, she decided to wear it then go around fighting crime buck naked. That was attention he did not want to have to deal with. Her moving around the house in the nude, fine, he can deal with that, but her moving, flying and fighting crime with him in the nude in public. Oh no, even he had his limits. Starfire looked all over the city, and he could sense that she was taking in all the sights well thus far. Then though she did wonder why a news chopper was following them, unmindful that due to the position the news cameraman had, they were able to get a very revealing look at Starfire's backside. That however did not escape Naruto's attention for long, as he quickly moved to fire a kunai on a line to hold onto the helicopter rails, and then he moved up to face the cameraman as he spoke. "Normally I don't do this, but if anyone starts making videos of my female partner for perverts to look at from that video of yours, I'll be very cross." After that he left and was soon joined by Kori as they landed on the highest building rooftop. Naruto was currently standing on the side of the building and looking about, while Kori looked at Naruto with a look of amazed curiosity. "How are you able to do that, friend Naruto?" "Let's just say I have many secrets, Starfire, by the way. Remember what I told you about?" Kori gave a curious look, but that did not last long, as she soon recalled just what she and Naruto talked about prior to them moving out on patrol. "Oh? I am to call you Hokage when we are on patrol and when fighting the criminals, am I right?" "Right. Anyway, let's rest here for a second. I have to do something before we move on." Starfire nodded, and as Naruto sat down and soon began to get into his senjutsu mode, feeling the natural chakra of the land flow into him, and soon he could sense things better. That along with the emotions of the people around him as well as Kori, and while he was still getting used to the feeling of Kori's chakra being that potent, he was able to focus on scanning the city. It did not take long for him to sense a number of criminals moving about. The blonde had learned enough to know that chakra can be affected by emotions, as well as the personality of the person releasing it. That and the fact that he was using a portion of Kurama's chakra to perfect his senses, made it a deal easier. There were a number of criminals moving about doing his usual bit, but he did not interfere, since he could sense that the police were nearby to handle the situation, so he did not interfere. But as he continued to move his senses, he soon sensed that a number of criminals were running away in a large van, and were in a dangerous path into a civilian area. He got up and spoke to Kori. "Follow me, Starfire, we have some criminals to catch." "I am right behind you, friend Hokage." The thugs had begun to move away from the traffic of the highway, as they planned to lose the police trying to catch them. They were more than willing to use their firepower on the cops, which helped keep the distance between them and the cops who were following them. They began to move away to lose the cops, until they spotted Naruto landing before them. The lead driver snarled and shouted to his cohorts, "Kill that bastard." The others got ready to fight, but Naruto quickly focused himself and fired several kunai at their direction, which were infused with a bit of his chakra. The weapons flew like arrows and quickly cut into their weapons, reducing them to scrap and forcing them to toss aside their guns. The driver charged, intent on running Naruto over, and he got himself ready to avoid that. However, Starfire decided to get involved by diving down, landing in front of said car, and then grabbing it, and then flipping it on her hands, and lifted said vehicle up while it was upside down. Naruto had to admit that the image was nice. Even more so when Starfire began to shake said car to loosen the bad guys out. The thugs turned to fire their weapons on the two of them only for Naruto to quickly move in and take down his bunch of thugs with his sword cutting their guns and his fists and kicks, sending them to Lolo Land. Starfire on the other hand had even less trouble as the thugs could suddenly do nothing but stare slack-jawed at her, allowing her to close the gap and knock them down to the ground. They had to be thankful for the fact that she had been convinced by him to not use her full strength. Bad guys they may be, but even these guys could easily be sent into the ICU or the funeral parlor, as Starfire was serious in her attacks. As soon as the thugs were rounded up, the two took off, and Naruto soon guided them to yet another site of thugs robbing a bank. This bunch of thugs doing said robbery on the other hand, were armed with some more serious weapons, and apparently had managed to get their hands on police-grade body armor. How that was possible he had no idea as of yet, but he and Starfire were not going to let them get the chance to make life difficult for the regular folks. Naruto quickly fired two of his regular kunai to bite deep into the barrels of their guns, while Kori charged up her power bolts to aim for the guns, but she did not use too much power, and soon their guns were nothing more than scrap. Once the guns were out of the way, Naruto quickly decided to move in and land some serious knockout blows on the thugs, who decided to try their luck in hand-to-hand combat. And it was obvious that they were going to rely on their body armor to keep them alive in all of this, but Naruto was a lot stronger than most people. And it was clear to all that Kori was more powerful to Naruto, as her foes who tried their luck to fight her with hand-to-hand combat moves and using weapons, were sent flying by her attacks. And soon Naruto decided to send one of the Kage Bunshin out, and take some long metal cable, and soon they tied up the thugs in rapid succession. All of this was done in mere minutes, and soon the people could not help but look at the sight of the bank robbers now out of action as both Naruto and Kori looked over their handiwork. No one among the civilians was badly injured, and those who were indeed injured got treated by him with some of his supplies of bandages, while Kori decided to help get rid of some of the rubble that could make things dangerous around the people who they happened to be trying to help. However, this also allowed Naruto gauge the reaction of the people to the fact that not only was he around, but this time he was not alone. The blonde shinobi could not help but smirk a bit as he saw the reaction of the men and women at the sight of Starfire in her outfit of choice when they foiled the bank robbery. Not that he could blame them at the moment, since seeing an alien woman like her in her choice of wardrobe was pretty darn new. The men were staring like mad at Kori, and the same went for some of the women as well, and he did not have to be a mind reader to know what the men and the women of that particular persuasion were thinking when staring at Starfire. Heck, even the thugs were staring at Starfire like a bunch of the proverbial deer staring at the floodlights. Though it was more like they were drooling perverted fellows who saw someone they liked. And Kori had the looks and the figure to make ogling her come close to a national pastime. There were also women who were staring at the gorgeous alien woman with envy, mothers were covering the eyes of their children, and a lot more as well. Naruto shook his head and spoke to Kori. Starfire, our work is done here, we should leave. Of course, friend Hokage, ready when you are. Naruto was relieved somewhat that Starfire was willing to go with him, and soon they left as he still had to do his rounds and help out the people of the city if something happened that the cops could not handle without heavy injuries and losses. As he moved from building to building by running on the walls, Kori was nearby flying with a trail of fire behind her, quite the sight considering her choice of clothing and the way she looked before anyone. He just knew that this was really going to be the talk of the city soon enough. The next day, Naruto looked at the TV and shook his head in annoyance, as they were playing a newsreel that involved him and Starfire, and already the rumor mill of the media was ablaze about this new and obviously gorgeous female protector of the city who was with him. Some commented that with her alien powers, she might be here to do something that was akin to the movie Species. Others stated that she was going to be a strong addition to protecting the city on the off chance they finally got criminals the likes of Joker and worse. Others commented that perhaps she and the Hokage are more than partners, and possibly involved. He snorted as he had seen said movie, creepy as hell to be sure, but it made some sense, though he doubted that Kori was the type for such a thing. Hell, the woman in said film was an actress and the fictional alien and Kori had nothing physically in common. Their powers and strength were certainly going to be a serious asset in a fight, so that second rumor he could understand. The third rumor was just as understandable since anyone could easily think that considering how friendly he and Kori were with one another. Not that it bothered him in the slightest right now, as he had to make sure that he would do what he could to keep Kori busy and getting used to the world that she was now going to be living in. So far there had been no word yet on when the others who had gone to help Stuart, but Naruto had faith in them that they would help get him out of that mess. Sure, the idea of seeing new worlds was tempting, and seeing new races as well, but like he said, there needed to be people who would fight to keep this world safe. And right now it seemed another task of his was protecting Kori from the gossip columns, as one reported theory that came out was she had seduced the Hokage, and would be the vanguard of a new alien invasion, like the one that the Imperium pulled. That one gave him a headache, and he could not help but suddenly feel the urge to find the nut, man or otherwise, who dared to suggest such an idea. As he looked at the next report, Kori came in still wearing the t-shirt and not much else on her, which he did not mind the least, and she sat down next to him. She looked at the TV and then spoke to the blonde ninja. "What do you plan to do next, friend Naruto?" "Not much the moment. I'll be heading back to work soon to take care of some backlog work. Speaking of which, I think it's time we find some way to help you adjust to being on Earth. I doubt I can hide your powers and looks anyway." "Why must I hide? I don't think the people would mind much." Naruto managed to bit back a chuckle at that one comment from Coriander and replied while smiling. "I suppose not. You are very comfortable in being who you are, Kori." "Of course I am comfortable with who I am, which is why I cannot understand why you must wear a mask, friend Naruto. You look quite good yourself, so I do not understand why you must hide your face. On Tamarani, any man who is attractive should not hide his face from the women who admire him." Naruto had to concede Kori that point. Technically, since he was an unknown in this world, he had no past or anyone here to be remotely connected to. But he balanced that with the fact that he had friends, colleagues, and acquaintances who were regular folks. And if anyone made the connection to them knowing him and him being the Hokage, then they would go after them to get to him, even if he did disguise himself. It was not the first time that happened to him after all, and he wanted to avoid that as much as possible. That and the fact that he took to the habit of hiding behind a mask when he had a stint in the ranks of the Anbu back in Konoha, so he developed an appreciation for the need to hide one's identity. "I can see your point, but if anyone who happens to be my enemies knew what I look like under the mask, they would already come after me and endanger innocent people to get to me. So far you haven't made a lot of enemies for yourself, Kori, but sooner or later you will, and I would like it that you can go and appreciate Earth culture, without having some crazy bad guys come in and take pot shots at you every now and then." The woman gave him a confused look and replied, "How can a pot shoot? Oh boy. The Los Angeles roads." Naruto yawned a bit as he was now heading back to the office to get some work done, and hopefully get back before something bad happened to his place. It was not that he distrusted Kori or anything. Well, maybe that was not being honest. He was only worried that Kori would get bored being there in his private place, and might do something bad to it. If there was one thing he learned from his time with the undeniably gorgeous Tamaranian woman, boredom was not for her. He could relate to be sure being the restless man that he was, but he kept in mind that she was not from around here, and there was no telling how much trouble she could get into, so he had to play the role of nursemaid. As soon as that came into the century-old shinobi, he could not help but chuckle a bit at the irony of that. Back when he was a little rascal, he always caused all manner of trouble, with only Iruka and Hiruzen as well as Tucci and Aim, Kami bless their souls, keeping him from doing something horrendously stupid. He appreciated them for that when he became a father and watched over his own kids and then his grandkids. Great, and now I have to play that role again with a beautiful alien woman who for all I know might be older than I am. You always did wind up in the craziest of situations, at least though you don't have to worry about it right now, unless you count the fact she does not mind cavorting in just about nothing. Talk about eye candy, and the fact she actually likes being naked only makes it more distracting. Flash would have a field day hitting on her. Naruto nodded, and as he began to get his gear ready, he managed to locate his laptop and USB drive. He made sure that they were all right, and then got his keys. He was already fully dressed for a day of work, and Kori, well, she was going to be busy on her own accord. She planned to go and see the rest of the city while flying about, but he would be keeping tabs on her just in case. The last thing he needed was for her to do some sort of mess that he would have to clean up, and who knew how the League might take it. Though he could wager guess that if the others had seen the news, they would already know that Kori was with him in LA, and no doubt helping out in dealing with crime, though he was very sure that a meet and greet was in order. As he was done, he walked to where Kori was eating, and saw that she was really digging into the freshly cooked beefsteak he had made for her. And the way she loved the well-cooked meat was enough to tell him that she was truly interested in his cooking. Plus, the liking for meat more than most would have to do with her people's ancestry more than most. Naruto's workplace. "Sage, get your butt over here." Naruto could not help but groan a bit as he got off the chair he was on and headed to his boss's office, though he wondered what could be the reason he had been called into his boss's office, and in this particular fashion by his part-time boss. He however decided not to comment on this, and was soon inside said office, and facing his drop-dead gorgeous female boss who was tapping on an iPad. One thing he had to give to the technology makers of this reality was that they knew their stuff. Technology was present back home, and tech did advance in the last 100 years he had been home, though the internet and other things were still a long ways off. Technology was pretty much diverse back home, and they did have good reasons for not taking it the way people did here. The internet was good and all, but all manner of information floating about that could be accessed by others, namely the ones that fell on the enemy category, was always a bad idea. And having computers like his laptop or his boss's iPad was cool in many ways, but being a ninja for so long also told him that unless you had some serious security for this, the bad guys could just swipe it from you and get all the details they needed to make your life miserable as hell. Naruto however put that aside as he spoke to his boss. You called? Yeah, you heard about the new heroine we have flying about in LA, right? Naruto tried not to smile a bit at that. Had his boss learned that said heroine was a resident at his place, she would have flipped. And not in a good way either, but he placed that thought aside and replied. I have, and judging by the way I was called boss, you need me for something. You got it right, apparently you have a number of requests from some of your esteemed fans. They want you to try and write a story about her and her apparent partner the Hokage, though I get the feeling that since she is new to the city that would be a tall order. Not to mention the fact doing that without the lady's consent is asking for the proverbial black eye. Even more so when I saw what she can do on the news. Naruto nodded and that in agreement and then spoke. So what do you have in mind? Interview her and see if we can get her consent to have stories written. Naruto raised an eyebrow at that and spoke. Boss, I don't want to sound like I don't want to, heck, any red-blooded man worth his manhood would agree with the idea. But the facts are that she does not exactly have a place of residence. She's an alien who might not see things the way aliens who lived on Earth like Superman and his cousin Supergirl would, and she has some serious powers. All that kind of make me think it's a bad idea. Not to mention the fact that we're not exactly a newspaper here, this is not exactly our department. Carol grinned and replied. I know, but I do know someone who can help. Who exactly? Lois Lane from the Daily Planet. She's coming here to LA recently to see if she could get an interview with the Hokage, and with her around, I can bet that she might be interested in interviewing our literally fiery Redeed. Now that was unexpected. He knew of Lois to be sure and knew that if there was any reporter among the few who actually reported the truth, Lois Lane was one of them. Add to the fact that she actually was on good terms with Superman gave bonus points in his book. That however did not mean he was not surprised by the fact his boss knew of Lois Lane. In fact he was surprised and decided to fish for some data himself. How exactly do you know Lois Lane? Carol gave a slight smile and replied. I was busy doing some business in Metropolis when I ran into her during one of her jobs for the planet. A pair of thugs tried to rob her, if you can believe that, and she knocked out one, and I was nearby to disarm the other one when he tried to pull a knife on her. We chatted and we became acquaintances. This was before Superman showed up actually, and I was younger than when we met and had started the company only recently. I can call in a favor from her, and have you come with her if she manages to get an interview with our city's news heroine. Why me? Let's just say that I have faith in you, plus knowing how Superman always comes in to save her regardless of where she is, I can bet that if things turn bad, the big blue boy scout is always on call. You have a lot of skill when I met you, and besides, you can manage to charm the young lady, even if she is not exactly human. Naruto managed to resist the urge to smirk. If his boss had any idea that the alien woman she referred to was his unofficial housemate, then he was going to be grilled far better than those nice delicious racks of meat she had seen once. That made him recall how much of a mess he had to deal with when Starfire raided his fridge once due to the munchies. That really set him back a spell in the finances bit, but to see Corey happy, made it all worthwhile, though he would have to worry about getting a raise. Alright, can't say I'm totally sold on the idea boss, but I'll give that one a shot. As he finished his work and was able to leave the building since his time for work was over, he was soon contacted by Batman. And he had a very accurate idea on just what the Dark Knight wanted from him. Well, time to face the music. In the Watchtower. Naruto could not help but shake his head as he was now looking at the sight of Flash literally drooling at the sight of Coriander who was here on the tower, to finally be introduced to the rest of the league. The others were not too sure about how to react to the female alien who was dressed in the same getup as before. Though in this case Flash obviously had no problem admiring the teenage Tamaranian princess in her choice of clothing, and for good reason as well, since seeing her appear had been more than enough to get Flash to stop eating the armload of hot dog sandwiches he had on hand before. When she came to the Watchtower via Hirshin with Naruto, Corey was impressed by the jutsu, and was asking him about he was able to do it. Naturally he teased her by saying it was a secret in the same way a certain anime character he had seen in his time surfing channels would do. Instead of being annoyed by that action however, it seemed to excite his now official housemate, and he could not help but wonder just how the pervy sage would have when seeing this happen. He quickly squashed that idea flatter than a pancake, as he could already swear he could hear his perverted godfather having ideas cooking in his noodle, as well as laughing like he usually would when his perversion got the better of him. The last thing he needed was to have that image in his head for someone to pick up. Besides, now that he thought about it, he did not need to go far on figuring out just what that perverted old man would think if he saw Corey. Flash could not help himself as he looked at the undeniably beautiful alien woman. Sure, Diana and Shaer were beautiful, and he would have to be a blind man not to notice. But this new arrival was a beautiful woman who had a quality of her own that was more than enough to get attention of any man. And obviously he was one of the said men as he spoke to her. Are you single? Kori moved her head to the side with a look of confusion on her face for a moment before smiling and replied. No, I am living with Naruto, so we are bonded. Flash looked at Naruto with shock obvious in his face, and Naruto sighed a bit and replied. It's a long story. And later, said long story was soon told, and Naruto did not spare any details on laying in just how he and Kori met. And of course Batman was more than willing to speak on what he learned when he ran into Kori. Once it was over, there was a lot that had to be discussed when it came to dealing with the young Tamaranian princess, who now for all intents and purposes was a refugee. Don Suer could not help but rub the bridge of his nose with his hand, and looked at Naruto who had no mask on. I can't believe this, who brought a Tamaranian here, and not just any Tamaranian, but one of the princesses of said world. Naruto groaned and replied. What do you expect me to do? She's here, and considering what I know of right now, she's not exactly got anywhere else to go. And I certainly can't let her go off on her own, she's already been through enough as it is. Stuart sighed and nodded. I know, I heard about what happened on her world, Naruto. Being a Green Lantern requires me to be in the know. That's the problem as well, the Citadel will be looking for her, so we have to make sure she is not going to be seen easily. I will not put it past them to try and cause all manner of trouble in order to get her. The last thing people want is a repeat of the Imperium, because if it does happen, well, it's going to be bad. They might even demand we hand her over to the Citadel to avoid another war. Flash then replied. But wouldn't that be like violating some law in the Green Lantern Corps? I mean, we do have a number of lanterns who are from Earth, right? John sighed and replied to that as he was quick to see what Flash was driving at. That's true, but that might not mean much if what we know is true. Let's just hope that if it does happen, we happen to ready. I am not going to say we should let her go, but keep her presence on Earth under the radar for now, though considering her more than recent media exposure, that might be easier said than done. Superman was a bit more accepting of Kori's presence here, since he was able to get the idea on why she could not leave, even though she had a home that had her people there, unlike him. Considering what Naruto told us right now and from what we learned from Kori and herself, any attempt to return her to Tamarin, even if it is the right thing to do, is going to break the treaty between them and the Citadel. And if things are as bad as you say they are, Stuart, I have to agree that she might be better off here with us. It's not something that is right to me, but we don't have a lot of options, and I for one, don't want to send her back to the Citadel if what she told us of her treatment is anything to go by. The other women in the league were full agreement with the idea, Diana being the more vocal one, as she could not fathom the idea of Kori's own sister willingly allowing such demeaning acts be done to her own flesh and blood. No law-abiding and compassionate Amazon would stand for such things, that much was clear in her mind. As for Shiera, she was not pleased to hear the situation herself, though she could also understand why the refugee princess had to stay, even if she was a warrior. The mere idea of one of her own, subjecting that to her own kindred, her own sister no less, disgusted the woman regardless of her secret mission here. The others were silent while Kori was with Naruto the whole time, her face gone from happy and cheerful to worried and anxious, no doubt wondering what exactly were the thoughts of the others concerning her stay here on Earth. Thankfully the League decided to let her stay on the condition that she be in contact with one of them at all times, though in hindsight that was something of a moot point, since the only member of the League she had regular contact with was Naruto, since she took root in Los Angeles alongside him. Naruto talked with the others about it a bit more, and they were alright with the idea so far, since Kori was certainly not an evil person, and deserved some peace after 6 years of hell. The fact that her people were warrior culture made Diana curious how her powers would match Kori's, but so far Diana was just pleased to make sure that the young woman would not be subjected to any more horrific treatment. Though naturally Flash was more than willing to flirt with her, and even tried to impress her with stories once in a while. Kori liked that, though she still hanged out with Naruto more so than the others. The blonde sighed at this and was pleased that the others were willing to let Kori stay. That at least meant that this was one problem which was solved for now, and he could tackle the next problem rearing its ugly head. Though in hindsight, the problem in question could no longer be solved, since everyone in LA already knew of Kori, or rather Starfire, being a resident hero of the City of Angels. So the next best thing was to make sure that she was seen in a good light by the people. For the next few days after Kori got the thumbs up from the League to stay on Earth for as long as needed for her to be out of sight from the Citadel, she accompanied him on routine patrols around LA itself, and more than once. They were more than able to make the bad guys who caused all manner of trouble to think twice. That included even some of the more violent gangs in LA, since the two of them usually did not hold any punches when they decided to go out and play rough. Of course he made sure to convince Starfire not to send blasts at random, since he doubted he had enough money to shell out from wanton property damage. And like before, another reason most of their fights were somewhat easier was half of the time the male bad guys would stare at his female alien companion like mad. Hell, he even caught one gang member staring at Kori with such a look of perverted interest, he actually had a weddy in public. Even he, being the pervert that he was, would never do that, it would have embarrassed him to no end. And the thug was not the only one, as he had even caught a number of thugs in yet another hunt for the bad guys looking perversely at Starfire. And yes, All of them had morning wood, especially when Cory moved to talk to him, while giving them one hell of a view. Though apparently it did not bother Cory one bit either, as she was more than willing to just focus on stopping her foes. Though she seemed to be more reasonable one between the two of them, since she tried to gently reason with the thugs to just give up, so this could not go any further, and no one would have to get hurt too badly. None of them obviously were willing to listen, but if he had to give a grade to Cory, he gave Cory an A for the effort. And even when he took Cory out and disguised her in human clothing after convincing her to do so, every man would stare at her, and even some women as well who obviously batted for the home team. He was very much expecting that, to be honest, since he was also bound to look at Cory like the men were. But they knew that he was her housemate and the only guy she willingly paraded in the nude in front of in their house. Then even if they had no idea he was the Hokage, they were either going to admire him or kill him outright from jealousy, so they could take her from him. In fact, a week or so later he nearly busted a gut when he managed to find someone trying to sell doctored pictures of Cory, which in his mind were pale imitations of Cory. They got all her dimensions and even her skin tone wrong. The less reputable side of that was when he found some of the bad guys actually trying to use computers to try and have an exact copy of Cory in a porn video, even if their actions were not exactly very accurate in depicting Cory as he knew her. He put a halt to that attempt pretty damn quick, and privately threatened to castrate the bastards by hand, if he ever caught them making such garbage again. Cory had a great liking for food, and she even shared his love for ramen, especially when he introduced her to the set dish on one of their outings. And that made him really pleased, since he had worked his butt off to get the recipe right for his favorite dish of all time. He tried other food as well, though on occasion some of the food that Cory developed a liking for made him stop and give the food a look of apprehension. It became fairly obvious that he was going to be the designated cook in the meantime, since some of Cory's attempts to cook some dishes from her homeworld using earth ingredients was not exactly pleasing, and for a brief moment, some of the resulting concoctions looked more like biohazard material than food. But on other occasions, the food was actually pretty darn good, and she really liked cooking those dishes, so he did not have the heart to always say no. He did, however, make the decision to have a spare kitchen made, as well as buying a whole new set of kitchen gear and other things on the off chance some of the resulting dishes blew up for one reason or another. In LA, Naruto was once more on patrol early in the afternoon, and was eager to finally wrap things up and head back home. He was usually in his Hokage garb and wore his mask on the off chance he ran into company that was anything but friendly and had intentions on his life. The only people he was going to trust with his identity were those he had developed a rapport with, and the League, and right now things seemed to be a lot calmer on that side of the spectrum. But as he ran over the building roofs and leaping over them, he also began to use his senjutsu to sense anything that might be amiss, with Kurama's chakra helping out as well. The blonde was going to finish this one run through an area of LA that had a serious problem with street gangs nearby, and the cops were working overtime to keep the criminals from causing any more havoc than they already were doing. Naruto moved in that direction to make sure that he could help them out if the situation got out of hand. Akami forbid someone somehow got metahuman powers, and decided to cause as much damage as possible for one reason or another. That was the last thing he wanted right now, since he had no way to have enough money to pay for whatever kind of property damage that was going to be the result of the whole affair. However, fate had other ideas as he suddenly picked up a major spike of energy that was definitely not the human or natural make. He stopped as soon as he landed on the wall nearby, and gripped it with chakra, and began to home in on the source of that rather unsettling energy. Kurama, you feel that? Yeah, definitely high-level demonic energy too from the feel of it, but also mixed with chakra and rather thick and strong. It's able to match to some degree with that much demonic energy. Feels almost like that of a Jinchuriki's, but a lot thicker from some reason. Not that close, but I get the feeling. Better watch yourself, kid. I have no idea what this is yet, but let's not take chance we do not have to. Naruto mentally nodded in agreement, and soon they took off, with him using his wired kunai to swing his way to his destination. And the closer he got to the strange energy, it was getting thicker, though he also sensed that the chakra of this person was trying to contain the demonic energy, reminding him of his past struggles with Kurama, when they were still enemies of his sort, and the fox wanted to escape and use his body for something he personally had no love for. It did not take long for him to get to the location of the energy source, and he saw something that really got him on full alert. Naruto could not help but look at the sight of several gang members on the ground, either comatose in fear or screaming in an undeniably unmanly fashion. The gang members did not really concern him though. The one that did concern him was the one who did that to them. The person in question wore black robes and had red gem clasps to hold said robe there in place. He sensed things a bit more, and judging by what he was sensing, this person, or whatever he or she was dangerous. Kurama was also in full agreement with him, as well as the Bijuu determined that the new arrival was female at the same time Naruto did. That girl is not normal, Naruto. I can feel that she's got an aura similar to mine when I was still your enemy, and she's emitting a smell that's both human and not half human. Right, be careful here. Until we know more of her, we can't be sure she has some way to suppress her intentions and her powers. That would mean she has a way to mask her true intentions from you and me, and that is bad news all around. Naruto moved closer while trying his best not to look the least bit threatening to the foe before him, or rather the foe in potential if he was being honest with himself. His danger senses were on full alert mode, and he was sure that the woman was going to try something if this whole meeting went down south. Who are you? The figure did not answer him, and Naruto frowned mentally at this, and decided to try fishing for more information on the new arrival. Look, I don't know why you are here, but the silent treatment thing is getting very stale. I don't know who you are either, so I am hoping this does not turn into a brawl that is totally not needed. It's your move. The figure said nothing for a bit longer until speaking, and quickly Naruto picked up that the speaker was female. You the one I sent a few days ago. Huh? Not the most intelligent of answers, and he knew he could come up with better ones than that, but that was to be expected, since he had no idea what made her say that. That is until recalling that in order to fight at an even keel and possibly talk down Kori when they first met, he had resorted to using his chakra shroud made from Kurama's chakra, even if it was not at full power at that time. But that still did not make him feel better, as he tried to figure out just what sort of person was before him. He briefly tapped into Kurama's chakra, but like before did not use the full chakra shroud, and he was surprised by the energy she was emitting. It felt similar to how he felt when he used Kurama's chakra prior to when they became full allies, proving that Kurama was right in stating that the energy was indeed like when he and the fox were not allies and friends. The energy was foul and demonic in nature, and while there was a human energy signature there, it seemed to be constantly at war with the demonic side. Way too much like when he and Kurama were still enemies of a sort. This was more than enough to get him and his partner worried, since this was usually bad news. This was balanced naturally by the fact that she was using her human self to control or hold it back, meaning that she had not fallen to the call of her dark powers just yet. While this is certainly interesting, she would be considered a half-human half-demon being for sure now. But even possible Kurama. Possible though extremely rare in the world we left behind, our father mentioned nothing of the whole thing to us, since technically demons, real demons don't meddle in the worlds of mortals. I can wager a guess though that in this world the situation might be different from what we're used to. But how? That depends on the way the parents met, but I guess we should not try to speculate, we might end up causing more harm than good. Let's not forget how you turned out after you got me and you. I'm willing to bet that despite the differences. She might have been in the same boat as you were before you and I became allies. This was interesting, and eventually he decided to try his luck and figure out just what she wanted from him. Kurama also had a point as well. Whatever circumstances led to this girl having her powers would not be explored until he was able to get a better read on her. But right now he needed to try and fish for what the reason was that she came all the way out here for him. Okay, you sense me, so what exactly do you want from me? Raven or rather, Rachel Roth could not help but look at the blonde shinobi before her. She had seen enough for herself to know that he was indeed very powerful and capable as well. The energy she felt also was more than powerful, its nature was similar yet not to his power. Rachel mentally forced herself not to think of the demon's name, lest she lost control of herself like last time. There was too much at stake for her to lose control and composure now as she had made it this far. She focused on the blonde who was looking at her through what appeared to be a mask, and while most would have thought he was being oddly casual before her, she knew better. She was no martial artist and was no ninja herself, but she could see that the man before her with all the power was not someone to be looked down on, and after seeing him in action previously, she was willing to be more cautious here. I sought you out because I wish to learn. Naruto raised an eyebrow at the back of his head at that one. Learn? Learn how you can control such power like that should not be possible for one to control without some measure of aid, yet you do so flawlessly. Either you have used some sort of ritual to control the darker aspect, or you have purified it somehow to make it obey you. Naruto had a sneaking idea that perhaps him using Kurama's power in conjunction with his chakra and senjutsu would have somehow attracted her. And in hindsight he could understand why that was the case, since the sheer amount of chakra he could unleash even at half power was very potent. Though he had no idea just why she would come all the way here and seek him out personally to learn from him, since technically he was not a half-demon like her, despite the advantages and traits he got from Kurama and the power of senjutsu. He had no doubt that this was certainly going to be a major concern for all involved, but he certainly could not turn away the woman in the first place. She went out of her way to come here to look for him, and he would have to be a very stupid man to say no to her right now of all things, since she did do all of this to find him. Let me get this right, you came here to seek me out so I can teach you to control your powers. The nod she gave might not have been seen by others who were not able to pick up slight body movements, but he had no problem seeing it. Raven knew that as well, and she could not help but stay there, and hope that his response to her request was not going to be turned down by him. She did not fault the others who tried to help her control her father's dark gifts, but she felt that none of them could help her, as the demonic side of her was becoming a lot more serious and trying to take full control of her. She needed a new way to control her darker self, and to also find someone who could understand what it was like to be in her shoes. Naruto knew that this was definitely something that he had some level of experience in. How else did he manage to wrest chakra from Kurama so long ago? But he did keep in mind that this was a different world with different rules, so he would have to do things carefully, so the whole thing might not come back to bite him in the butt. Alright, let's talk first because I think I need to clear out some things before we go into something that might make things really hard. Raven nodded and soon they headed out to an area outside of the city. It was not long before they came there, and Naruto decided to talk about his origins. Instead of being wide-eyed or anything, Raven was willing to listen, making Naruto feel that perhaps due to her status she was not easily going to be worried about learning that he was not from another world, and possibly not the same as her. That could be either a good or bad thing, but now was not the time to make a bad move. He then explained the presence of Kurama, and explained the way on how he was able to gain Kurama's power, and eventually become friends with the Biju. Raven was very surprised by that, even more so when Naruto finally revealed the existence of the other Biju inside of himself. But instead of fleeing or calling him mad, she accepted it and seemed quite impressed that he was able to handle that much power in him without going mad, even if the other Biju's power were not at full strength. She did not reveal too much of as Naruto had expected, no doubt not wanting to tip her own hand too early. Not to mention judging from the way she acted, he had very good reason not to talk about her past. He had no problem respecting that though he kept in mind to be careful. Still, despite the thick scent of dark power, he could see that through her chakra, Raven was a good person who was only like this, in order to control the darker side of her nature. It made sense therefore that she would seek him out. That fact however made him wonder if she had teachers prior to him who had sought to help her control her full powers. There's no way that there was no one in a world like this, that had no idea on how to teach someone like Raven on how to control her powers. So he was now in a very interesting position. Either he could refuse Raven, but help her seek out someone else, or he could let her stay with him and Kori, and help her get some training to help make her struggle in controlling her darker self easier. Which was it going to be? Later, Naruto could not help but wonder just what he had just thrown himself into. Having Batman allow Starfire to live with him in his place was not easy, but now this was definitely pushing the limits of what was tolerable. And he had no doubt that if anyone found out he was the only guy living in a house with two women, then they could easily be seen as him taking advantage of the women in his place. Then again, one had to keep in mind that both women happened to be anything but normal. Starfire had some serious strength, flight abilities, a very strong life force and her powers, and of course, Raven was more than able to fight in her own right using her own demonic powers, which was going to be of some concern if she somehow lost control of her abilities. That was really going to make a lot of alarm bells go off, and he would be the subject of questioning if the time came since he allowed her to stay under his roof. Right now, both women had decided to reside in his place as he knew that he was by far the only one they appeared to be on good terms with. Starfire was quite pleased to have company even if he had to privately admit that Raven was about as sociable as a tree stump. But at least she was not trying to blast the Tamaranian teen into nothing but paste when Kori was being friendly with her. That was a good sign at least, though it still made him wonder just how he was going to explain Raven's presence in his home to the Dark Knight once he showed up, and who knew how the rest of the League were going to take it. He looked to see the meditating woman in question, while Starfire was currently looking at a number of flowers in the garden, and he sighed while sitting cross-legged on the branch of a nearby tree. He knew that this was going to be one of those days once the others in the League came here, but at least he was going to have a chance to get to know the two who were now his residents, though he could only hope that he could handle the stress. One thing he had to deal with on a regular basis back in the Elemental Nations when his wives were still alive and they were all in the early stage of married life, was keeping the various personalities they had from driving him nuts. Sure, it was kind of cool to be a guy with more than one wife, but no one bothered to look at the more negative aspects of the whole thing. Namely when one took into account how different the women were from one another, and no doubt sooner or later, conflicting personalities would clash and all hell broke loose for all around the area, one type of incident that he had dealt with plenty of times. And now here he was again, and he could not help but sigh once more as he looked up into the sky. One thing is for sure, at least things were not going to be boring. Kurama snickered in the back of his head and replied, "True that you're a real magnet for trouble, Kit. I wonder what is going to happen next." "Please stop, I already have an alien woman who has no concept of modesty in my house, as she dislikes wearing too many clothes, a woman who has power over plants who I already happen to be in a relationship with, though how far it's going to go is up for debate. And now a half-human half-demon woman who is as sociable as I was, and has the laziness to some extent of Shikamaru. The last thing I need is another set of problems to come in and bite me right in the ass, Kurama. Fate always has a surprise waiting for you, Naruto. I thought you already knew that." Naruto mentally groaned as he moved on to check on them. So far it seemed that they were getting along, and that was good. The last thing he wanted was for them to start throwing energy attacks on one another, when they were supposed to be roommates and friends of all things. He did however keep in mind that Raven was only going to fight if she got attacked directly. As for Starfire, she was a gentle sword and very friendly, if not a bit too rambunctious. So as long as he was able to keep the two calm for now, things would be stable. The only thing he had to worry about was how to explain the presence of Raven in his home to the rest of the league. First he had to deal with Batman and then the rest. All he could hope for was that this would all work out and not bite him in the darn neck. Unknown to Naruto, his newfound guest Raven did indeed have some people after her. Some wanted her power for themselves, others wanted to end her life, despite the fact that she was in no way, shape or form accepting of her demonic half. They were not alone either, as a number of other people had begun to gather and move to Los Angeles, but their target was not Raven alone, but him as well. This just got complicated. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want the next part of this video, like, subscribe and comment down below, and turn on the bell notification. And also check out other videos that I have created and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.